Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to this explainer where today we're unpacking what is easily one of the most unbelievable rags to riches stories in all of human history. We're looking directly at the ancient sources to understand the wild life of Liu Bang. Now, this was a low-level peasant. We're talking about a guy who literally owed money to his local tavern. But somehow, he manages to defeat terrifying aristocratic titans to found the Han dynasty, a regime that would go on to define China for over 400 years. It's this massive, sweeping epic full of war, deep betrayal, and just absolute political genius. So, here is our roadmap for today. We've got 1. Destiny of a peasant. 2. Toppling the Qin dynasty. 3. The Chu-Han Contention. 4. Secrets of imperial victory. 5. Securing the new empire. And finally, 6. A founder's final legacy. This will guide us right through this dense, lifelong epic. All right, starting off with Section 1, Destiny of a Peasant, Omens and Earthly Realities. What's so fascinating about reading the grand historian Sima Qian's account here is the duality. There is this huge clash between the heavenly propaganda surrounding Liu Bang and the incredibly gritty earthly reality of who he actually was. Because, to build an empire, you really need a myth. Sima Qian recounts this super dramatic story where Liu Bang is deeply intoxicated, leading a group of escaped convicts through a marsh in the dead of night. Suddenly, there's a massive white snake blocking their path. Liu Bang just draws his sword and chops the thing right in half. Later on, people come across an old woman weeping over the dead snake. She utters this quote, claiming her son, the son of the White Emperor, was slain by the son of the Red Emperor. And boom, just like that, a divine destiny was attached to his rebellion. The red banners of his future army were quite literally born from this very myth.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the sheer hilarious contrast. On the left, you've got the official divine omens. Stories of dragons hovering over him, 72 moles on his left leg that supposedly signified his great destiny, and mysterious clouds that would always give away his hiding spots. But on the right, the earthly reality, recorded in the exact same historical text, tells a completely different story. He was a lazy pavilion chief who actively refused to do his household chores. He drank heavily on credit, and he loved mocking his fellow officials. He was this totally grounded, deeply flawed human being who literally needed his bar tabs forgiven at the end of the year. But beneath that lazy exterior, there was definitely a fire waiting to be lit. As a commoner, Liu Bang was once sent on a labor assignment to the capital, Xianyang. While he was there, he caught a glimpse of the terrifying first emperor of the Qin dynasty, traveling by in this magnificent, awe-inspiring procession. And instead of bowing his head in terror like everyone else, Liu Bang just sighed and said, "Alas, a great man should be like this." That single, audacious spark of ambition in an everyday peasant, that set the stage for everything that was about to happen. Moving into Section 2, Toppling the Qin dynasty, the race to the capital. The death of that first emperor plunged the whole realm into absolute chaos, and Liu Bang seized that moment to jump from a local outlaw to a major military player. The timeline here gets incredibly chaotic, but Liu Bang navigates it brilliantly. First, Chen Sheng shatters the empire with a massive peasant uprising. Then, Liu Bang's hometown elevates him to Lord of Pei. Next, a grand promise is made by King Huai of Chu. Whoever breaches the passes and enters the Qin heartland of Guanzhong first will be crowned its king. It's a literal race for the throne. Through sheer strategic momentum and by gathering brilliant minds like Xiao He along the way, Liu Bang wins that race. He enters the capital of Shangyang, and crucially, he does it completely peacefully. So why does that peaceful entry matter so much? Well, he immediately sealed up the treasuries to prevent looting. Then he abolished the agonizingly brutal Qin legal code and replaced it with just 3 simple rules. Death for murder, appropriate punishment for injury, appropriate punishment for theft. The Qin dynasty had absolutely terrorized the populace with these complex laws where your entire family could be executed for a minor mistake. By bringing in these 3 simple tenets, the people were instantly overjoyed. He won their hearts without shedding a single drop of blood. Which brings us to Section 3, the Chu-Han Contention, a rivalry for the ages. This is the ultimate historical heavyweight matchup, Liu Bang versus the terrifying warlord Xiang Yu. This slide brilliantly illustrates their clashing leadership styles. Xiang Yu was practically a military god, but he was extraordinarily cruel. The sources tell us he slaughtered surrendered cities, buried hundreds of thousands of captured soldiers alive, and burned those magnificent Qin palaces right to the ground. Liu Bang, on the other hand, was militarily much weaker, but politically brilliant. He spared the innocent. He generously shared conquered land and spoils to win the loyalty of other warlords, and he used his brilliant strategist to sow discord right inside Xiang Yu's camp. And that clash of styles led to a brutal, multi-year war. Xiang Yu was furious that Liu Bang took the capital first, so he forced him into exile in the remote, rugged regions of Shu and Han. But Liu Bang breaks out, using the military tactics of his brilliant general, Han Xin. What followed was a grinding, massive stalemate. For years, Liu Bang was just battered. He suffered crushing defeats. At one point, during a standoff across a canyon, Xiang Yu actually shot Liu Bang in the chest with a hidden crossbow. A hidden crossbow to the chest. Yet Liu Bang survived purely through sheer resilience, playing off his horrific injury to keep his troops' morale high, which eventually culminated in the total defeat and death of Xiang Yu at the Battle of Gaxia. Let's look at Section 4, Secrets of Imperial Victory, the leadership thesis. We are now looking at the ultimate question of this explainer. How did a peasant who lost almost every head-to-head battle against Xiang Yu actually win the empire?
Well, after taking the throne, Liu Bang threw a huge banquet in Luoyang and actually asked his generals this very question. He broke his own success down to 3 indispensable men. First, Zhang Ling, whose brilliance in devising strategy from inside the command tent allowed them to win battles 1,000 miles away. Second, Xiao He, who governed the state, pacified the people, and ensured the supply lines and rations never, ever ran dry. And third, Han Xin, who could command millions of men, ensuring victory in absolutely every battle he fought.
So, the absolutely crucial point here is captured in this remarkable quote. He tells his court, "These 3 are human stalwarts. I can use them, and this is why I took the world." Xiang Yu had one Fen Zheng and couldn't use him. Liu Bang's superpower wasn't fighting. His superpower was his unmatched egoless ability to recognize, elevate, and utilize the brilliance of others. Meanwhile, his rival alienated the only good advisor he had. On to Section 5, Securing the New Empire, the Pragmatic Purge. We have to shift our tone here, because winning an empire and keeping it are 2 very, very different things. Ask yourself this. What do you do when the rebellion is finally over? You're sitting on the throne, but the warlords and generals who helped you win are heavily armed and hold vast swaths of your brand new empire? It is a terrifying political reality for any new founder. So Liu Bang and his formidable wife, Empress Liu, took calculated, ruthless steps to fix this. First, they moved the capital to the heavily fortified region of Chang'an to secure the geographic advantage. Then, they systematically targeted those independent warlords. Legends like Han Xin, Peng Yue, and Yingbu were accused of treason, hunted down, and executed. Sometimes their entire extended families were wiped out. Finally, Liu Bang replaced these independent kings with his own sons and blood relatives to make absolutely sure only the Liu family held true power. And if you want to understand why Liu Bang felt he had to purge his own friends, just look at this number, 300,000 troops. That is the number of soldiers the general Han Xin personally commanded at the decisive Battle of Gaisha. When a single subordinate commands an army that massive, the emperor on the throne cannot sleep soundly. For sure, paranoia just becomes statecraft. Finally, Section 6, A Founder's Final Legacy, the Cost of Empire. Let's transition to Liu Bang's final days, where the conqueror of the world returns to his humble roots. After putting down yet another rebellion late in his life, Liu Bang stopped by his hometown of Pai. He threw a massive banquet for the local elders, drank heavily, and personally sang this poem, which we now know as the Song of the Great Wind. Just listen to his words. "Where will I find brave men to guard the 4 corners?" It's this incredibly profound moment of melancholy. He's conquered the entire world, sure, but he's killed his greatest generals out of fear, and now he is left paranoid, wondering who is left to protect his life's work. Shortly after that, during another military campaign, Liu Bang was struck by a stray arrow. When Empress Liu brought in a famous physician who said the wound could actually be cured, Liu Bang furiously cursed the man. He shouted that he had conquered the world wearing simple clothes and wielding a 3-foot sword. "Is this not the mandate of heaven?" he declared. He paid the doctor in gold and just sent him away. He arranged the succession of his ministers like Cao Shen and Zhao Bo with Empress Liu and faced his end with absolute, unyielding belief in his own divine destiny right up to his final breath.
And that leaves us with a provocative final thought to take away from this explainer. Sima Qian noted that the Han dynasty succeeded because it smoothed out the brutal edges of the Qin while still maintaining order. But when we look at the trail of executed friends and the lonely paranoia of his final days, we have to ask, by replacing the absolute harshness of the Qin with his own blend of strategic leniency and ruthless pragmatism, what is the true cost of forging an empire? Liu Bang built a 400-year legacy, yes, but the moral toll it took on the peasant from Pei was absolute. Thank you for joining me on this explainer. Until next time, keep questioning the history you think you know.